Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today we're tackling the transformer architecture. This is that 2017 neural network that really well-transformed language processing for AI.
It absolutely did. It was a fundamental shift, moving away from processing word by word, which was the standard for years with things like RNNs and
Right,
LSTMs.
the sequential stuff. And the transformer just threw that out.
Pretty much, it introduced this idea of attention, specifically self-attention, letting the model look at the entire sentence or sequence all at once, a real paradigm shift.
So why was that such a big deal, looking at everything at once?
Well, the biggest immediate win was speed, parallelization.
Ah, right. You could process all the words simultaneously.
Exactly. Instead of waiting for word one to process before starting word two, you could basically do them all in parallel within the attention mechanism. That meant training on massive data sets became feasible much, much faster.
Okay, speed, that makes sense. What else?
The other massive advantage was handling long-range dependencies.
Connections between words far apart in a sentence.
Precisely. Older models struggled with that because the signal could get lost over long sequences. But with attention, any word can directly attend to any other word, no matter the distance. So understanding complex sentences got much better.
And I guess that scales up pretty well.
Incredibly well. It's the foundation for, all the huge language models we see today. That scalability is key.
Okay, let's dive into this self-attention then. It sounds like the secret sauce.
Yeah.
How does a computer pay attention?
Yeah, it's about calculating relevance, essentially. For each word, the model figures out how important all the other words in the sequence are to understanding that specific word.
And it does this multiple times. I remember reading about multi-head attention.
Right. So instead of just calculating attention once, you do it multiple times in parallel. Those are the heads. Each head can potentially learn different types of relationships. Maybe one focuses on grammar, another on semantics, different aspects.
Got it. And the mechanics involved. Queries, keys, and values.
Yeah.
QKV.
hmm It's a nice analogy. Think of the word asking a query. What information do I need?
Okay.
Every other word offers a key saying, this is the kind of information I have, and also a value, which is the actual information content.
Right.
The model matches the query to the keys to find the most relevant ones, and then combines the corresponding values weighted by that relevance.
So it pulls information from the most relevant words.
Yeah.
But wait, if it looks at everything at once, how does it know the word order? Man bites dog is very different from dog bites man.
Excellent point. That's crucial. Since self-attention itself doesn't consider position, the transformer adds something called positional encoding right at the start.
Ah.
It's basically a bit of information injected into each word's embedding that signals its position in the sequence. So position 1, position 2, and so on. That way, the model retains the order information even while processing in parallel.
Clever. Okay, so that's attention. What about the overall structure? The paper talks about an encoder and a decoder, but let's focus on the encoder for now. What's its job?
The encoder's main role is to take the input sequence, like a sentence, and process it through several layers to build up a rich, contextual understanding of each word.
And each layer has that multi-head attention we talked about.
Yes. Each layer typically has two main sublayers. First, the multi-head self-attention mechanism, where the words interact and gather context from each other.
Okay.
And second, a position-wise feed-forward network. This processes each word's representation independently, sort of digesting the information gathered by the attention step.
And I saw mentions of residual connections and layer normalization. Quick thoughts on those?
Yeah, those are important for training deep networks. Residual connections are like shortcuts, helping the gradient flow during training so you can stack many layers without performance degrading. Layer normalization helps stabilize the activations within each layer. They just make the whole thing easier to train effectively.
Got it. So putting it together, if I wanted to, say, classify a tweet's sentiment positive or negative, how would the transformer encoder handle that?
Sure. You'd feed the tweet text, probably broken into tokens, into the encoder. It passes through the stack of encoder layers. The output is a set of contextualized embeddings, one for each token, but now they understand the context of the whole tweet.
Right.
Then you might average these embeddings or use the embedding of a special classification token and feed that final representation into a simple linear layer that predicts positive or negative.
And the training involves showing it lots of examples, calculating the error.
Exactly. You calculate the loss, like cross-entropy loss for classification, do backpropagation to figure out how to adjust the model's parameters, and use an optimizer like Adam to make those adjustments. You saw the loss decreasing in the examples. That's the model learning.
So fundamentally, the big leap was swapping out sequential processing for this parallel attention mechanism. That unlocked speed and a better grasp of long-range context.
That's the core of it. It allowed models to learn much richer representations of language, directly leading to the powerful AI we interact with now. Understanding this basic architecture really helps demystify modern AI language tech.
It really does, and it makes you wonder. This principle of attention, focusing computational effort on the most relevant parts of the input,
Yeah.
it feels almost fundamental, doesn't it? Beyond just language AI. Could similar attention-based ideas revolutionize other complex systems or even how we think about human learning? Where else could directed focus be the key? Something to ponder.
Definitely food for thought.